Being the best neighbor. Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, is loved by all Muslims. He, peace and blessings be upon him, is well honored and respected by countless others and considered influential in both religious and secular circles. The religion of Islam, as taught to us by Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, urges kind and considerate treatment towards our neighbors. They deserve our respect and good treatment regardless of their religion, race, or color. In a hadith narrated by Aisha, may God be pleased with her, Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Jibreel continued to advise me to treat neighbors well until I thought he would make them my heirs. This clearly indicates that neighbors' rights are indeed great. Commanding the good treatment of neighbors in the Quran, God the Almighty says, worship Allah and join none with Him in worship, and do good to parents, kinsfolk, orphans, the poor, the neighbor who is near of kin, the neighbor who is a stranger, the companion by your side, the wayfarer, and those whom your right hand possesses. Verily, Allah does not like those who are self-deluding and boastful. Surah An-Nisa, Ayah 36. The men and women around the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, were constantly reminded of their obligations to their Lord and to one another, including kindness to neighbors. In a hadith, he reportedly said, whoever believes in God and the last day, let him not harm or annoy his neighbor. He also reminded not only his companions, but all of us who follow him, that a true believer in God does not allow his brother or sister to go hungry or live in unfortunate conditions while he or she is able to help. Today, in a time when old people die alone and forgotten, and when our neighbors both near and far go hungry whilst we have food, we would do well to remember the example set by our righteous predecessors. Aisha, may God be pleased with her, reported, I heard the Messenger of God, peace and blessings be upon him, say, Jibreel, peace be upon him, kept on recommending that I treat neighbors well until I felt that he would order me to treat them as my heirs. Abu Dhar, one of the close companions, was told by Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, to add extra water to his broth in order to be able to offer some to his neighbors. Another companion, Abdullah ibn Amr, once asked his servant after slaughtering a sheep, did you give some to our Jewish neighbor? A believer is encouraged to give gifts even if they are of little monetary value. The true value of the gift is the generous spirit with which it is given. The giving of gifts fosters friendship and mutual support. When the Prophet's peace and blessings be upon him, wife Aisha, may God be pleased with her, asked him about which neighbors she could send gifts to, he replied, to the one whose door is closest to yours. Although the closest neighbors are more entitled to our care and interest, Islam urges us to take care of all our neighbors. It is a system that takes into consideration the needs and feelings of others in the greater community. When one truly understands the teachings of Islam, he or she begins to see that if one member of a community suffers, the whole community feels the pain. After family, neighbors are the people that we depend on the most in times of need and trouble. A bad relationship with neighbors can make life miserable. It is important that people who share a neighborhood be able to trust and rely on each other, regardless of their religion or ethnicity. Neighbors need to feel secure that both their honor and wealth are safe. Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, described a good neighbor as one of the joys in a Muslim's life. He said, among the things that bring happiness to a believer in this life are a righteous neighbor, a spacious house, and a good steed. A good neighbor is one who guarantees comfort, security, and safety. For this reason, it is important that one who believes and obeys God does not spare any effort in being considerate of and generous to the neighbors. Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, warned his companions against harming or upsetting neighbors. In a hadith reported by Imam Ahmad that is as true today as it was 14 years ago, the noble Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was asked about a certain woman who prayed and fasted more than was obligatory upon her and gave generously in charity. But unfortunately, she did not refrain from speaking harshly to her neighbors. He, peace and blessings be upon him, described her as being one of the people of hell who would be punished for this. In the same hadith, he was asked about another woman who fulfilled only her obligatory duties and gave very little in charity. However, her neighbors were saved from her harsh tongue and she offended no one. Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, described her as among the people of paradise. The religion of Islam places great emphasis on the solidarity of families, neighborhoods, and the wider community, dealing with a bad neighbor. Islam advises its followers to be kind and considerate of neighbors. What happens, however, if one has a neighbor who behaves badly and does not show the respect inherent in the teachings of Islam? Believers are patient and tolerant and do not hold grudges. They strive to mend the broken relationship through good morals and manners and a forgiving attitude in the hope that this will bring about great reward from the God the Most High. Hence, they patiently bear the annoyances as much as they can. If the situation becomes intolerable, to take a different stance can be a last resort. Publicizing the bad behavior may be an option. Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, once advised a man to gather his belongings in the middle of the road as an indication that he could no longer live beside his bad neighbor. His neighbor immediately apologized and begged him to return. Nobody likes their bad behavior to be made public, and this is especially true of a Muslim whose religion requires him or her to have the highest moral standards. Islam places great emphasis on the qualities of respect, tolerance, and forgiveness, and these qualities shown to neighbors are a demonstration of the moral values and virtues inbuilt into the worship of the one God. Be kind. Abu Shuraih al-Khuzai, may God be pleased with him, reported, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "He who believes in God and the last day, let him be kind to his neighbor. Offer your neighbor a ride if you see them walking to the grocery store. Make chicken soup or homemade medicines for the common cold. That is, make sure they are in good health and let them know you are there for them. Be helpful. If you meet a new neighbor while they are moving in, greet them with a smile and bring them refreshments. Give them a quick run-through of the area in general, where things are located and what can they expect from the community. If a former neighbor is moving out, then help them with packing, cleaning, and bring them dinner or lunch. If a neighbor is pregnant, then organize a food list and all neighbors can choose a day on which they can bring food or help out in the house during the last weeks and the early weeks after the childbirth. Offer a ride to the school if your children go to the same one or carpool. Give gifts. When you make something, send some over to a neighbor. Buy an extra box of donuts and give it to your neighbor. Abu Huraira, may God be pleased with him, reported, Messenger of God, peace and blessings be upon him, said, O Muslim women, no one of you should consider insignificant a gift to give to her neighbor, even if it is a trotters or a sheep.